Hey dadders, welcome back to the channel. It's lovely to have you here. Today we're going to be going through the first half of an American Dad theory iceberg that I created myself. I love iceberg videos and theories, so I thought why not combine the two. If you don't know how iceberg videos work, you have the things at the top of the iceberg that are either very well known or are very normal things to discuss, but then as you go down the iceberg you get to the more dark and mysterious subjects. So let's get into it. Some characters are Roger theory. This theory comes from Reddit user Enlightened Chipmunk. In their post, they posit that there are some one-off characters in the show who are actually a Roger persona. Rightfully, they point out that there are some personas that fool the Smiths. Roger tells us this in the episode Stanny Tendergrass. Stan can't see Mr. Vanderhill. Francine doesn't know that he's a Korean kid who shoots pool with a giant chopstick. Haley doesn't know that Roger is her sandal repairman, and Steve, well, Steve doesn't know that Roger was Alicia Wilkner, the girl that he kissed at a spin the bottle party. From this then, it can be argued that there could be some personas that we the audience can't see through either, especially because when we see the girl from Steve's point of view, she looks like a regular human woman. So if there were characters that were Roger, they wouldn't even look like him and we wouldn't be able to tell. You know what? I really like this theory. It was actually the first one I made a note of when I went scouring through Reddit to find them. I like it because it's harmless, doesn't change the canon of the show really, but adds a fun little twist to some episodes. Like, could Tunji be Roger? Could Marguerite be Roger? British Liam? The curator in Black Mystery Month? The possibilities really are endless, and that's why I love this theory so much. Now, in the post, Enlightened Chipmunk points to characters like Wilbur Kentucky and Nadia as potential personas, but there is another theory in part 2 that might explain their existence a little bit better. The TBS Multiverse theory. This second theory comes from Aiden on Facebook, where I asked for the weirdest American Dad theories. This isn't that weird, but I did find it interesting and plausible. Aiden theorizes that after Stan closes the book of American Dad on Fox in Blagnast, A Love Story, this signifies a major shift in the universe we see. Aiden suggests that the episodes that aired on TBS are not necessarily set in the same universe, but are instead snapshots of different Smith families from across the multiverse. I actually think this makes a lot of sense, as the American Dad canon gets a little bit more crazy after the switch to TBS. Aiden also explains that certain anchor events might need to happen, such as Roger crash landing on Earth, but the time, location and backstory behind these events can differ in the multiverse, which explains the differences in the stories Roger has told about his arrival to Earth. Some episodes could take place in the same universe, however, which is why in Stan and Francine and Stan and Francine and Radica, Francine tells young Stan about the Noah's Ark ship, the salt mine in the back garden, and bringing James Garfield back to life. She does also tell him about Stan being a horse though, which takes place in the Fox universe. Not necessarily a flaw in the theory though, as we could return to the Fox universe for certain episodes. Another bit of evidence for the multiverse theory comes from a discrepancy involving the show Family Feud. In Familyland, Stan says that the Smiths had a 5-week run on Family Feud. Seems innocuous, right?
I think not!
Because in 300, the episode ends with the family being accepted onto the second phase of the Family Feud application process after several failed applications. So, what does this mean? It can mean two things. Either the timeline of American Dad isn't linear, which is a whole other theory that I haven't even thought of until right now, holy shit, or it means that there are different universes represented in the show. I know there are other discrepancies in the canon, but a lot of that can be put down to Roger lying or exaggerating, but this is different. And the final piece of evidence for this theory comes from last season's multiverse of American Dadness, which proves the existence of the multiverse in the show. In these different universes, there are some major differences, like fish not existing and at least 2 universes where Steve is black. But just because these universes are far more diverse than the ones we've seen so far, doesn't necessarily mean we have been watching the same consistent universe. But this episode also does give us one major flaw. When the episode cuts back to the Smith family as we recognise it, there is text on the screen that reads, "Our regular universe, that our viewers are intimately familiar with and have seen for hundreds of episodes, not including some of the Christmas specials and probably several others." Also, if you're reading this, it means you paused. you nerd. Why don't you go find someone to have sex with? I'll have you know, American Dad writers, that I have had sex before. Multiple times. With different people. Who? They're all from Canada, you wouldn't know them. Where was I? Yes, so as the text says, it does seem that the vast majority of American Dad episodes do take place in the same universe, but it's not fully disproven, so I'm going to stick with it for now. The Barry's real dad is Tuttle theory. Back to Reddit for the next one. Reddit user David Headley 2008 posits that Barry's real father is Al Tuttle. Now, when you see them side by side, the resemblance is striking. Aside from them both being big, which isn't necessarily genetic, they both have those really small round ears. Now, you can't really see Connie and Ted's ears because of their amazing 1970s hairdos, but they do seem to be quite a bit bigger than Barry's and Tuttle's. And also, Connie and Ted both have very different noses to Barry, with Ted's being large and hooked, and Connie's being straight and upturned, and Barry's is small and round. Barry and Tuttle both have very round faces as well, with Ted's being much more angular. Tuttle and Barry also have similar personalities when Barry's on his medication. They're both jovial, a bit dim-witted but friendly, and have difficulty with boundaries and personal space. They also talk very similarly, like something stuck at the back of their throat. We also know that Barry's parents are swingers, and that when Tuttle's wife was alive, she and Tuttle were very sociable in the neighbourhood. It's entirely possible then that Connie could have become pregnant with Tuttle's child during a swinging session, but all parties decided it would be best for Barry to be raised with Ted and Connie together rather than him being between the houses. Another reason that it might have been good for Barry and Tuttle to be kept apart is that in the Book of Fisher, it's revealed that Tuttle is in witness protection. He might have agreed to give up his parental role to keep Barry away from any mobsters who might want to take revenge on Tuttle and his family should his identity ever be found out. Roger isn't the only alien theory. Next theory comes from Guinevere in the Facebook group. Straight up, just gonna say it, there's very little evidence for this theory. Some might say none, but that's not the point of this video. This video is about the weirdest and most interesting theories, not necessarily the most likely. Guinevere suggests that all the characters in American Dad are actually Roger-style aliens in costumes and are secretly making fun of Roger behind his back for thinking that he is the only alien. Now, like I said before, there isn't much evidence for this, but I was surprised to find that there was any at all. Firstly, let's take a look at Toshi. In Bar Mitzvah Hustle, when Steve introduces his Uncle Roger to his friends, Toshi says very casually, "Yes, the alien in the wig," in Japanese. Now, you can say, "Bobby, this is clearly just a joke that Toshi knows about Roger and doesn't care, and I would maybe believe you if Toshi was a casual and chill person, but we know he isn't. This is the same boy who hunted Steve down with a samurai sword for not having Akiko back on time. This is the same boy who learned an entire language in a matter of weeks to impress their mail-order bride. And this is the same boy who says that he has killed for both honour and for pleasure. Is this really someone who would be super blasé and chill about an alien?
I think not!
Maybe the joke here is not about Toshi knowing Roger is an alien. Maybe the joke here is on Roger. The only other bit of evidence I can think of is not really canon to the show, but it is canon to this channel, and it comes from my season 2 deleted scenes video. Check it out. In a deleted scene from All About Steve, Roger gets on stage out of costume and tries to come clean about being an alien, but the crowd don't take him seriously and start heckling him. Could this be because they too are aliens and want to bully him further by telling him his costume sucks, knowing full well it's his actual body? Really makes you think. The Roger is Stan's job theory. We're heading back to Reddit for this next theory, and it comes from user abaker74. In this theory, abaker74 argues that the CIA know exactly where Roger is, and it was their plan all along to keep him contained in the Smith house. Now, why would they do this? Well, Roger can move extraordinarily quickly, as seen in Jenny from the Block, and could easily escape a CIA holding facility. But if he were to form an emotional attachment to someone, that would keep him in one place. Roger has an overwhelming need for attention and to be loved, so it does make sense that giving him a family that love, understand, and quite frankly enable him would be the best way to keep him in one place. A. Baker 74 also argues that the whole department of the CIA that tried to catch Roger is just a big ruse playing into Roger's need to be special, as seen with his whole the decider role in Wiener of Our Discontent, but also to make the Smiths think they'll die if they share his identity to the public. Finally, it would give the CIA a good way to observe Roger without him knowing. Just think, Roger has shown Stan the spaceship he landed in, shown the Smiths all kind of special abilities, such as being resistant to all human elements, being fireproof, super speed, cream that can regrow human limbs, and golden turds. He's also able to contact his species and call a ship, not to mention the info the CIA would get about other alien life forms like the Collectors. So now we've established why the CIA might do this. Is there any evidence? Well, it was surprisingly easy for Roger and Stan to escape the CIA together, wasn't it? Down a laundry chute and into a van that just so happened to be leaving at that exact time, and no one chasing them thought to stop the van at a highly secure CIA compound. They also managed to do this twice, once when they first escaped and then once again in You Det Your Life. Also, Bullock mentioned in Klaustastrophe TV that there are about 7 microchips in Stan and that he is very easy to track and chip. If Stan is so easy to track and chip, surely the CIA would have found some evidence in this tracking data about Roger's existence. And if Stan is easy to chip, his phone would probably be easy to bug as well. Additionally, in Permanent Home Wrecker, we see that the CIA are able to track Stan and place a sniper on him who will shoot anyone Stan tells about his time in the CIA. Now, it's not the tracking I'm interested in, it's how the sniper might be able to hear the conversation Stan is having with these people. First one, sure. The guy called the CIA, so maybe Bullock texted the sniper and gave the order to shoot. But the second one? How would the CIA know that Stan told this person about his previous job? The only way that would make sense is a bug on Stan's person, or a CIA operative in disguise tracking Stan and listening to his conversations, both of which would also be true when Stan was at home with Roger. In all honesty, I don't know what to think about this one. I think it would be a massive shame for one of the best relationships in the show to be little more than a job for Stan, rather than Roger being there out of love and support. Also, it would be a pretty big gamble for the CIA to do this, having an alien in a residential setting, especially one with the powers that Roger has. At the same time, I like the idea of the CIA pretending to catch Roger. It's so silly and definitely something I could see Bullock doing, probably after a long night of partying. The Ladybugs run the town theory. Sticking with Reddit for this next one, this theory comes from Reddit user Cabletop, who smartly pointed out the multiple women who appear in the show wearing ladybug pins. Now, if you don't know the significance of the ladybug pins, that comes from the episode Not Particularly Desperate Housewives, where Francine joins a group of women who cheat on their husbands, and these ladies call themselves the Ladybugs and wear matching ladybug pins. These are not just cheating housewives though, as Francine found out when she attempted to leave the Ladybugs after lying about cheating on Stan. They tied Francine to a trolley shelter and attempted to kill her by ramming a train of trolleys into her before she was ultimately saved by Linda Mamari. They really are a scary group, having previously killed a lady called Anne Fleming shortly before Francine joined them. So this theory questions the number of women wearing ladybug pins and what this means for the town. Do the Ladybugs secretly run the town? Do they have women spying all over on Francine to make sure she doesn't spill the true nature of the Ladybug group? Let's see how many women we can find with these pins. So we have the original members of the Ladybugs, Christy White, who seems to be the leader, Casey, and Katie. There are also 3 unnamed women when the Ladybugs attempt to murder Francine. Since then, with the help of Reddit, I've been able to spot the following. 2 more women in The People vs. Martin Sugar, but the blonde woman in the back also shows up in Jeff's trial in SEAL Team 6. And there's another woman in Bully for Stan. And now this is not Katie, they're wearing completely different outfits. This is another Asian woman who is also in the Ladybugs. These are all the ones I found so far. Let me know in the comments if you spotted any others. So in total that's 9. It felt like more when I was writing them down. So 9 women having affairs in a large town and meeting up to discuss them who just so happen to be at different parts of the town in different episodes. Yeah, this theory doesn't hold up to scrutiny really. Let's see if the newest season gives us any more clues, and maybe we'll come back to this in a future video. Explaining Jeff's mum's backstory. So the final theory I want to talk about in part 1 of this Iceberg video is more of a headcanon than a real theory, but I think it's plausible. It's also really quite sad. This comes from Austin in the Facebook group, who writes about his headcanon for Jeff's mum. He theorises that Jeff's mum was very poor when she met and began dating Henry Fisher, who seems to be quite well off. There's a lot of money in growing weed, I imagine. When she was pregnant with Jeff, something happened that caused her to leave, but knowing that she would be unable to provide for a child by herself, she returned to the Fisher farm, left Jeff there, and took off again. This could explain one of the weirdest things Jeff has ever said about his mum, which is that she took off before he was born. Jeff is a bit of an idiot, so he might have got confused when Henry told Jeff that his mum left him before Jeff was born. This theory also fits in with the only other thing Jeff has mentioned about his mum, and that's that she gave birth to him in the front seat of the van. It could be that when Jeff's mum was on the run from Henry, she gave birth to Jeff in the van, then returned both Jeff and the van to the farm and left the van there for Jeff to inherit. I honestly think this is really interesting, as we know that Henry isn't the nicest guy in the world, so it would make sense that anyone who had a baby with him would get to see that and maybe want to get out of that situation. I mean, he's absolutely vile to Jeff, and that's his own flesh and blood. I don't think this will be the canonical backstory for Jeff's mum though, if she ever shows up, because it's just too sad and real for a show like American Dad. And with that, part 1 of the American Dad theory iceberg is complete. Subscribe and press the notification bell to be the first to know when part 2 is uploaded. I want to say a big thank you to everyone who's found the channel in the recent weeks, and to those who have been subscribed from the beginning. It means the world to me that fellow dadders are picking up what I'm putting down. If you did like this video and aren't subscribed, I would love it if we could change that. My analytics suggest that over 90% of people who watch aren't subscribed, and as a growing channel, that really could make a huge difference. If not though, I'm still really grateful that you watched and made it this far. Before I go, I just wanted to give a shout out to Shallow Vows, an American Dad podcast. It's hosted by Sam, who is a committed and obsessive American Dad fan just like myself. Her podcast goes through each episode and picks up on fun facts and goofs. She also provides some commentary on the episodes and gives her opinions on it. Sam also has her own theory, but I don't want to spoil that for you. We're working out a collaboration for me to appear on her pod, so go and check her out and let her know that you're excited. Take care everyone, see you soon!